Patriots Fifth Quarter, brought to you by the New England Ford Dealers, home of the best-selling brand of cars and trucks in New England.
Everybody to the New England Patriots Fifth Quarter here on UPN 38. That, of course, was the raising of the 2004 Super Bowl championship banner to go with the other two. But in the pregame show, that was clearly over the top. I don't know if you've ever gone to any halftime shows, postgame shows, pregame shows, but this one, I'd have to say, set a standard that would be difficult to beat. And I think anybody that was here that saw that pregame show tonight said, there's actually going to be a football game played after that, but there was, and the Patriots came away with a 30-20 win. We're with Michael Felger of the Boston Herald, and now a multimedia conglomerate, Cottage Industry, Steve Burton, and Scott Zolak as well. And gentlemen, our first task here is to pick the Heineken Red play of the game. So I assume your vote is for what?
Jarvis Green, strip sack, and the Vince Wilfork pickup of the interception/fumble that came out of the 4-3 defense, Bob, and I think that was pretty much, in my opinion, the key to the game. They scrapped the 3-4 after a quarter. After Chad Brown got hurt, they went to a 4-3 defense, brought Jarvis Green onto the field, and they were a different defense from that point forward. And I think, big picture, you have to look at that and say, is this a better 4-3 team right now without Bruschi and Ted Johnson?
Yeah, Ted squared. Okay, you guys agree with that?
Yeah, ditto on my
It's a little
part.
late because we're ready to play it.
I thought the double reverse with the screen pass was sexy, but you talk about changing the time of the game. That's it right there, the Wilfork fumble.
It's good to see Vince have some hands as well, making that interception. Jarvis Green.
I thought it was a cheeseburger.
Holding on to it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a momentum builder right there.
What about the Brown injury?
I don't think it's serious. I think he was ready to go after a few minutes. It was a stinger, it was a neck, a shoulder, something. He was fine. They were just playing better out of the 4-3. I think that the talent on this team right now is up front. Wilfork, Richard Seymour was a monster today. You put Richard Seymour next to Vince Wilfork, who takes up all that space. That's Seymour at his best. Jarvis Green, Ty Warren, that's the strength of the team. These guys, these coaches, they put their... They do what works. They don't stick with what they want to do. They do what works. And right now, it looks to me like this is a 4-3 team.
You guys have any lobbying for player of the game? Because everybody does have a chance to vote, and the way to vote for a player of the game is to log on to upn38.com and click on player of the game. The box on the left side of the page for those of you who, at this time of the morning, you didn't think
we're going to pick Brady? Do you want to pick somebody other than Brady? It's Brady every week.
You didn't think we were going to get out of here. First of all, you didn't think we were going to get out of here on Thursday. You knew it was going to be Friday morning before we
Of course.
So, okay, go with the who else but.
How about Ozzie? You see that guy?
Yeah. Well, it was a Halloween skit.
How about Bob Kraft tossing to Ozzie? Talk about a surreal moment.
Ozzie, you know what, he could get a player of the game thing because
he was into it. Say what you want about Ozzie, he was into it.
He was into it.
He made everybody into it. You were ready to go home after all the intros.
It was a stunning performance by Ozzie.
You guys can go all you want with
Quality.
Ozzie, but the player of the game is Tom Brady. Tom Brady throws for what, 212 yards in the first half alone?
224, I think.
That's unheard of. In the first half alone, this guy's just chucking it.
Well, he does that week in and week out. The nice thing is you have a new Ben coach now. You got Ben Watson. It's nice to see what you lost last year. The addition of this guy. They haven't touched it yet.
Watson's scary.
It's a force. I mean, the guy runs like a receiver. He's got hands like a receiver. He's got size like a tight end.
Ben Coates all over him.
Sterling Sharp at 20 pounds.
He's Sterling Sharp. He's faster than Ben Coates.
He
He's
is
more
faster than Ben
explosive than Ben Coates.
He's bigger than Ben Coates.
This guy, if he stays healthy, if they can keep him on the field, is going to be a man.
Plus, you like his attitude, too, on the field. He does have an attitude.
Absolutely, he does. I think he was ticked off he missed all of it last year. I think he could have been that last year, had that knee injury. I think he wants to stay on the field and be the man.
Okay, we're here inside for the Bill Belichick press conference. Tom Brady, quickly, his numbers, 306 yards, 24 for 38, 2 touchdowns, both of them coming in the first half. Corey Dillon, a couple of touchdowns. All right, we'll take a break, and then we'll come back, and by then Belichick should be ready to roll.
Red Star Play of the Game is brought to you by Heineken. Heineken, it's all about the beer. Visit enjoyheinekenresponsibly.com.
Guests on New England Ford Patriots fifth quarter receive a gift certificate to Milton's, the store for men. At Milton's, you'll be as comfortable in their stores as you will be in their clothes.
Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots fifth quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford Dealers, home of the best-selling brand of cars and trucks in New England.
On Sunday morning, we kick off our 8th season of Patriots Game Day. Join Steve Burton and the crew every Sunday morning at 11:30 on CBS 4 for everything you need to get your game day started. Still inside waiting for the Belichick press conference with Michael Felger and Steve Burton. And I did go into Milton's and look for a vest, but they were sold out. And it just, you know, they only had one.
I knew he was going to take a shot. Hey, the way this game started, were you guys nervous? Raiders marching right down the field.
I'll say one
thing.
Making it
7-0.
It took the crowd out of it in a hurry.
Yeah, it sure did. And again, that's when they were in their vanilla base 3-4, and they got out of it and were a different team. So again, that's sort of what I'm looking at. I also looked at the way they defended Randy Moss, or actually didn't defend him. They didn't do anything special against him. It was a total vanilla coverage.
Well, there were a couple guys. A couple times he was double teamed.
Steve, not really. For the most part, I mean, he caught a 73-yard touchdown now against one-on-one coverage. The safety was nowhere to be found on that first
one time, Rodney Harrison almost knocked his head off. There were like 3 guys around him at that play.
But that wasn't double coverage. If you watch, they basically, whichever side Randy Moss went to, it was Samuel or it was Poole, and they had him one-on-one, and yeah, safety was sort of over there. But basically, they let Randy go, and they dared the Raiders to beat them with Randy Moss, and I don't think the Raiders did it. I think the Raiders...
Well, they didn't win.
No, the Raiders should have, in my opinion...
They contained them, pretty much. Except for the 73-yard bomb, right?
To me, the Raiders didn't go at Randy Moss enough. They should have recognized the one-on-one and gone after him.
Okay, here we go.
Belichick.
Here we go.
A nice way to start out the season with a victory. Tough game. You know, Oakland's a real good football team, and they gave us a lot of problems. But, you know, in the end, I think our ability to get the ball into the end zone down in the red area, that was important. We committed a few less penalties in the second half. That certainly helped us out. And you know, got a big turnover there from Vince, a couple good punts by Josh, and gave us some good field position. But, you know, overall, it's the first game. We got a lot of work to do in all areas, playing, coaching, just general execution, you name it. There's just things that we need to do better, and I need to do better. We need to do collectively better as a football team. I think we're capable of. We've done it before, but we kind of stumbled around there on a few things tonight that, you know, is going to catch up with us if we don't get them fixed. So, but it's good to win. Give the players a lot of credit. They played hard. A lot of them went the whole way. You know, pretty much every snap out there, opening night after, you know, not doing that in preseason. So I think it's a real testament to their conditioning and their hard work getting ready for this game physically. You know, we just got to do a better job mentally and play better situation football. So.
Bill, you seem to generate a lot of pass pressure. Do anything schematically to try to keep their protection off balance, or was it just one-on-one?
I think it was a good job by the rushers. You know, we got a few guys that can rush, and they were able to push the pocket a little bit. But no, I mean, you got to give the credit to the players there. That's a pretty good offensive line, and you know, I thought we were competitive on the pass rush, which helped. So they sure got some good receivers.
You want that to carry off his game a little bit?
Well, I think any time that you can hit the quarterback or, you know, not let him step up into the pocket, that it affects the timing of the passing game. There's no question. That's you know, it's hard to throw when you can't get that rhythm.
So you go to the 4-3 when it comes off and you stick with it, and it seemed to work beautifully. Talk a little bit about why you guys did stick with it after Chad.
We ran some in preseason, and you know, we thought that we would be able to, you know, mix it in there a little bit in the game. We, you know, started in the 34 just because we're more familiar with that, and we expected that there would be a lot of shifting in motion and formation at the beginning of the game, which there was. Thought we could handle the adjustments a little bit better. But, you know, I thought that Richard and Vince, you know, Ty, Jarvis, the outside linebackers, you know, Rosie, Willie, and Mike, you know, did a nice job. Bonnie made some good plays in there. So just, you know, we executed it pretty well. And, you know, I think we could have been all right in 3-4. We just, you know, kind of got off to a rocky start on that first series. Got a couple of big play passes down there. But, you know, we got a few plays out of it.
Was it
The game plan, or was it an in-game adjustment that you made?
That was part of the game plan.
That was part of it.
Deion Branch didn't play in the preseason. Can you just comment on getting him back out there and his contribution?
Well, it's good to have Deion on the field. You know, he's a good playmaker for us. And, you know, we almost hit him on that first one, but, you know, he came up with a lot of big catches and a couple good runs after the catch. So, you know, we all know that he's a guy we want to try to get the ball into his hands.
Talk about, well, the defense played, especially the third quarter, where they got a couple big plays early.
Yeah, you know, the third quarter was really frustrating because we had the ball down there the whole quarter. We had a couple punts inside the 5, and then you know, the interception, and you know, fortunately we finally scored on the you know, after Vince's interception. But we had so much field position that third quarter, and it seemed like it was just kind of slipping away. We weren't getting any points out of it. But, you know, defensively, they did a nice job maintaining that field position and keeping them backed up. I thought our return game was competitive. You know, we had a couple penalties there that could have given us a little bit better field position. But, you know, you got to give a lot of credit to the defense in that third quarter. They really came out and we were able to play the game on their side of the field. And, you know, that's always good. Just wish we could have got a few more points out of it.
What the job Richard's team did today? He seemed to apply a lot of pressure and make tough
It looked like Richard and Vince, you know, looked like they did a pretty good job inside. You know, have to take a look at the film, and they hit a couple runs in there on us. So, but you know, I thought that Richard and Vince were able to generate some pressure up the middle. You know, we all know Richard's is a pretty good force inside, and you know, we've seen that for 4 years here. And, you know, he looked like he did it again tonight.
Really decided to rotate a little bit up front again offensively with Nick in there. Was that also part of the game plan to keep guys fresh? Or
Yes.
You expect to use that more this year than you have in the past, the 4-man front, given the strength you have up front?
I don't know. You know, we have done different things from time to time, depending on what the game plan is and how we think we match up against our opponents. So we'll just take it on a week-by-week basis and, you know, see what we think the best thing to do is. But, you know, we have it. We can use it. We're going to play the 3-4. We're going to be in nickel, dime. You know, it just depends on what the needs are, what the requirements are on what we think our best matchup is on a week-to-week game plan basis.
Their first drive of the game, did they give you any looks you weren't expecting, or is it just how they executed?
Well, no, you know, they bounced out the first run. Then there was kind of that kind of false start, whatever it was, thing on the corner pattern to Moss, and you know, I think we kind of hesitated a little bit and sort of froze and thought the play was going to get blown dead, which was not very alert on our part, and they hit it, and then you know, then they tried to take a shot and go for the big play, you know, in the end zone, and we had that one pretty well covered. So he came back and hit Jordan, and you know, we just missed the ball, and he ran it down to the 5 or whatever it was. So it was really those two plays. It was the Moss play, and then the check down to Jordan for, I mean, it's about another 25 there. So they got down most of the field in 2 plays, but you know, we know those are the 2 best players. You know, those 2 guys make a lot of plays, and so we just got to do a better job of defending them. But
what are your thoughts on the way Tom Brady performed tonight?
Yeah, I thought Tom managed the offense well. We were trying to spread them out a little bit with the with different personnel groups early in the game. That was, you know, I thought fairly effective. Then they made some adjustments to it, started playing a lot of nickel and sub defenses against us, and they gave us a couple different looks when they jumped into some of their blitz fronts there and their 46 look. And you know, Tom was having to change a couple plays, and I thought he did a pretty good job of, you know, getting us in and out of some things. Looked like maybe we could have caught a couple more passes, but I don't know, it probably would have been good catches, but it looked like we had a shot at them. But I thought Tom did a good job of managing the game, especially, you know, opening night where, you know, you're going to get a couple different looks. You're going to get some things that, you know, aren't quite the way you practice them, but he showed a lot of poise, and I thought his preparation really came through when I gave us a couple things. He was able to, you know, do the best he could on the play for us.
What about Josh McDaniels? How do you think he performed in that role that he had this evening?
Same as he has all year. But, you know, I mean, it was, you know, I think offensively, you know, the coaches all did a good job. But we can do better. There are a lot of things that we need to clean up. And from me to the, you know, well, let's just leave it with me. I mean, the whole things that happened there at the end of the game, that's not really the way we want to play it. So, punts blocked, 2 kicks blocked, run out of bounds. Just, you know, we need to manage the clock better than that.
What were your impressions of Tim Dwight, both that receiver and then the kicking game?
Well, Tim's an explosive player, and we've seen that all through the preseason and in training camp. You know, he gets his hands on the ball, and he can get up to top speed in a hurry. So if we can get the ball to him and get a little seam there for him, you know, and he threatens people with his speed, which opens up some of the underneath stuff. I mean, he made a nice catch on the touchdown, but he's an explosive guy with the ball in his hands.
You know, I thought we were really close on a couple of those punt returns. I mean, the Raiders are a good covering team. They kick it a long way, but they have good coverage people. They have a lot of team speed. So, you know, Tim was close, and you know, hopefully we'll break one of these days.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you.
And that was Patriots head coach Bill Belichick. Patriots are now 1-0 in 2005. They beat the Oakland Raiders 30-20. We'll be back with the Patriots fifth quarter right after this. Stay with us.
Coach Bill Belichick's post-game news conference is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts, come home again.
Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots fifth quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford dealers, home of the best-selling brand of cars and trucks in New England.
All right, here's something we'd like to have you pay attention to if you can. The Patriots Charitable Foundation is teaming up with Bank of America and Cradles to Crayons to sponsor a clothing drive this Saturday. This collection is specifically designed to help the kids who've been affected by Hurricane Katrina. They're looking for children's clothing, school supplies, baby equipment, toys, and sports equipment. You can drop off your donations here at the stadium this Saturday from 9 in the morning till noon. And if you'd like to volunteer here at the stadium Saturday morning, log on to cradlestocrayons.com. We're outside on the field right now with Steve Diassi and Robert Newmeyer. And, you know, you said last night in our special this was going to be a high-scoring game. 50 points. So what was the over in Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Well, if you shopped, I think you could have got 49.5, and if you went over, you won by a half a point. It was 49.5 or 50, and I think the number landed on 50. Do you think those guys in Vegas know what they're doing?
How did they do that?
Without inside information, if you know what I mean.
Well, it took a block punt at the end to put it over the top.
But the point is,
it's unbelievable.
How do they do that?
They're good. They're good.
You know,
they're tough to beat.
If we were as good,
the Patriots are tough to beat, and the line makers are tough to beat.
You bring up a very good point. The Patriots are tough to beat. We don't know how good they are yet. We don't know how good Oakland is yet. There's no standard of comparison just yet. However, they didn't seem to be extended in this game.
They weren't really tested in this game. Oakland is not that good a team, but the Patriots weren't as precise as we've seen them before either. This is obviously an early season game. The number of flags on behalf of the Raiders was ridiculous. 13 or 14 penalties, and even 6 or 7 for the Patriots. That's probably a little unacceptable for Bill Belichick too.
I think our expectations, Bob, are so high with this team. You know, I was curious about the defense. I knew they'd score points in Oakland. I thought it was an excellent start for Eric Mangini as defensive coordinator, and I thought the defense was the key to the game. Really, when you look at it, they had the one big play to Moss. They had the one sustained drive at the start of the game. Forget the last garbage time touchdown. Against a high-powered offense with guys like Moss and Porter and Jordan, and Collins can hurt you with a deep ball. Third quarter in particular, the key play I thought was the Jarvis Reed sack of Collins, the fumble of the interception at Wilfork. It's kind of a dead crowd, a flat moment at that time. Big turnover, Patriots scored, put them up 9, never looked back.
Well, that was the only big play. That's the one thing about this defense. They always come up with big plays, and this game, pretty much defensively, was not a lot of big plays, other than right here, Wilfork coming up with the interception or fumble, whatever they decided to call it. But usually in a game like this, on a primetime game, the Patriots defense comes up with 2 or 3 big plays.
Yeah, I think this was the play of the game, because at this time, you know, the teams were kind of flat.
Yep.
The crowd wasn't into it. They were begging for a big play somewhere, and Jarvis Green gave it to him, and Wilfork was alert here to make this little pluck. And again, it set up that go-ahead score. I shouldn't say go-ahead. It set up a score that put them up 9, and that gave them the cushion for the rest of the ball game.
I would just make one observation, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you will. The crowd not being into it. I don't know how you could expect the crowd to be into it after that hour pregame show and Ozzy Osbourne, and then have the Oakland Raiders drive down the field on the first series of downs and score a touchdown. I think that would suck any emotion that you might even hope to have out of this stadium.
They're also used to this team playing better than they did, too, and it was pretty obvious right off the bat that the Oakland defense was nowhere near a match for the Patriots offense, and I think everybody here, like you said, has a very high level of expectations for this team, and even though they won this game, I think a lot of people would have preferred a little more sexy game.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you look at the offense, and you remember, of course, Larry Bird, all Celtic fans know that he would have a game where you really didn't notice him, but at the end of the game, you'd look at the stat sheet and you'd say he had a quiet 29 points. Tom Brady had a quiet 300 yards tonight. Oh, by the way, 9th career 300-yard game, and yet you look at it and you think about his game and you say, played good, played well. Was it vintage Brady? No, but he had a quietly efficient game, and Deion Branch, again, was sensational at the wide receiver position. Again, 30 points. Plenty enough to beat the Raiders here tonight.
It's interesting. I don't know what a vintage Brady game would look like. Other than something like this.
It would be a well-managed game. It would be a game where he doesn't turn the ball over, and it would be a game where he leads his team down the field on methodical
was that sharp tonight, Steve?
In the first half, 200 yards, I thought he was very sharp, and then after that...
I think he was 14 for 20 in the first half.
But see, some of his throws were so high over. He threw at least 3 balls, one to Graham, one to Givens, and one to Branch, I think it was, that were so overthrown that was uncharacteristic. That was early in the game, though. That could have been just the heat of the moment, the excitement of getting back on the field in a real situation. But for the most part, he was steady, like he always has. Hit a number of receivers. Watson came up with a couple big plays, and it was just Tom Brady, what we're used to out of Tom Brady.
I'll tell you, Ben Watson, a force. Well,
I mean, you see the first drive, 2 key third-down catches, and you didn't really see much of him for the rest of the ballgame. They had a hard time getting Dillon going in this game. They only had 7 yards rushing at the break, and that's not really Patriots-like offensive football. But they tried to get him going a little bit in the second half. Never really established Dillon, I think, like they wanted to in that first half in particular, Steve. They really struggled with the running game.
That might have been a factor of the huge outside linebackers that the Raiders have. They were bringing guys up towards the line of scrimmage. They were bent on stopping Corey Dillon. You could see that with the way the safeties were flying up and the way the linebackers were up on the line of scrimmage. They were going to make sure that it wasn't Corey Dillon that beat them. But again, there were a couple opportunities there where you thought he was just about to break it and couldn't pull it off at the last second. Got a quick tackle here or there. But for the most part, they got him involved in the second half with a couple of passes too, which you want to put the ball in his hands no matter what you do.
But I think Newman makes a great point. I mean, you really kind of look for a much more of a balance. When Brady puts the ball up 38 times, that's not a balance. And really, even early in the game, they didn't even go to Dillon.
Well, if you
they
saw
didn't even try to establish it.
If you saw what they were doing, and it was pretty obvious as soon as the game started, they knew that they could get behind those linebackers. These were huge linebackers, obviously not cover guys, and in front of the safeties and the cornerbacks, and you realize they were hitting passes 15, 16, 17 yards pretty consistently, and I think that was a big part of the game plan.
So why bother with Dillon when you can just chunk it?
Because you have to keep the running game going just to give the balance and give them the idea that you're going to run the football. Another key point, I thought, and the Raiders, no matter who's coaching, who's quarterbacking, you wear that silver and black for whatever reason. You're going to take dumb penalties at the wrong time.
It's amazing.
And in that second half, they took that stupid personal foul and then the key pass interference call on that rookie route on Troy Brown, I believe it was, and that was a touchdown that put him ahead big, and they never looked back from there. But, you know, the New England Patriots made a couple of penalties that hurt them as well, but nothing like the Raiders. The Raiders take the worst penalties at the worst time in football games. They've done it ever since Al Davis, it seems to me, has been at the controls, and he's been there for years.
And the other thing you know about the Raiders is that they like to throw the ball deep. And I think Kerry Collins fell in love with the idea that you can throw the ball up for grabs to Moss, because there were a few times that it worked, but for the most part, when he threw the ball up for grabs, you could see he put a little extra arc on the ball. You could see he was just throwing it up, hoping Randy Moss could jump up and grab it, and he had pretty good coverage on him outside of
it's not like they were double teaming him.
No, they weren't. They were keeping a guy over the top quite a bit, but for the most part,
I mean, Porter hurt him much more than Moss.
They weren't doubling him off the line, not by any means, but they had. You can't have Randy Moss on the field without accounting for him, and even the play that Poole got burnt on with the bouncing ball a little bit, that was he was in pretty good shape until the last 1 or 2 steps,
and he stumbled almost.
And he stumbled a little bit when he was trying to reach back. Probably might have turned the wrong way.
Harrison overran a little bit, got caught in the bad angle.
Exactly right.
Hey, Randy Moss is going to hurt you. He's just too talented eventually. And but like Steve said, I think all things considered, did Randy Moss really kill the Patriots here tonight? By no means. By no means.
No. If anybody was going to beat the Patriots, it would have been themselves.
Probably.
30-20 was the final. The 5th quarter here on UPN 38 will continue. Bob Newmeyer, Steve Diassi. We'll be right back.
No Dunkin' Donuts Dash for Daylight today. The Patriots did not return a punt or a kickoff for a touchdown today, meaning Norman Shears of West Roxbury doesn't win the trip to see the Pats play the Jets, but will still receive a Dunkin' Donuts gift pack. Log on to UPN38.com to find out how you can enter next week's Dunkin' Donuts Dash for Daylight.
Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots Fifth Quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford dealers, home of the best-selling brand of cars and trucks in New England.
All right, welcome back here on the field with Bob Newmeyer and Steve Diassi. We figured it out, 21 straight at home, including playoffs. That's a pretty remarkable run in at any level of competition.
And what was
Acton Boxborough would be the only one that top that.
And what was their number for regular season straight wins? 21 also, something like that?
You know what, you got me. That's right.
I
Okay,
don't remember.
Steve.
Too many numbers. I ran out of fingers.
The last time we were here 7 months ago, it was so cold, and the Colts were going home between the tail, between the legs. Anyway, let's go back inside with Steve Burton.
Yeah, where it is warm again. I'm standing here with Scott Zolak and Ben Watson, tight end for the Patriots. You had 2 catches. I thought you had a third. It looked like you got robbed.
I think I did too, but, you know, I'm not a referee, so I don't make that call.
Pretty solid game, though, all the way around. I mean, you were tough to bring down. 2 big catches over the middle. 1 just tough to bring down in general.
Yeah, I think, you know, as a team, we played decent games. A lot of things we can work on, you know, but I'm just happy we got the win.
Listen, the second you guys started to go with the second series, you went to the 3 wide receiver set. They flexed you out a little bit, and then they brought Kevin out of the backfield, which emptied the backfield. All of a sudden, it looked like Oakland could not handle it with their linebackers. You guys had a ton of success, but you actually didn't go back to it. It seems like you could have went to the well, keep going back. You had the 2 big catches. What happened after that?
You know, I guess, you know, the coach decided to go another way. I mean, they sit up there in the box, and they look at the defense, they look at what happens, what worked well, what didn't, and they make great decisions about the game plan. And, you know, I guess we decided to go a different direction.
It's been a tough year for you last year. We know you're on injured reserve, and how key was it for you to get back this year? And it's kind of like a 2-headed dragon you guys have with Daniel on one side, you on the other. Could allow you to do some nice check with me stuff, pass and run.
Yeah, I mean, it was big for me. You know, I just thank God that I could come out here and play again after a long, you know, layoff, and especially, you know, get a win tonight.
You know, there was a shot of you and Brady on the sidelines, you talking to Tom. I don't know what you said to him. Probably, you know what, this thing works.
Give me the ball.
Just give me the ball again, right? I mean, you can only say so much to your quarterback, but what were you saying? Do you remember that?
Well, I mean, Tom, you know, I don't remember it exactly, but, you know, Tom's a great quarterback, and, I mean, he's great in the fact that he wants input from everybody, you know. He wants to know how a guy's playing you. He wants to know if he can hit the pass next time or you know, how the throw was. So, you know, he's a great field general.
When the Raiders came out, drove right down the football field, all of a sudden it's 7-0. Are you guys saying, uh-oh?
No, never. You know, we never say, you know, that's why we play for 60 minutes. Right. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the game. You know, all you can do is do your best and, you know, just try to do everything right.
Hard-fought football game, though. I mean, they came out blasting.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the Raiders have a great football team, and, you know, they're going to go far, but, you know, we just happened to outlast them tonight.
You guys were hitting on all cylinders in the first half. It looks like they made some adjustments at halftime defensively. So did you guys. What happened in that third quarter where I think Brady only completed 1 pass, but you did get it going at the end of the game?
Yeah. I mean, you know, they made adjustments, and it just wasn't going good for us at that point in time. But, you know, we bounce back as an offense. You know, we just keep plugging away. You know, that's what we do every day in practice, so we bounce back.
All right, Ben, you 1-0.
Good feeling.
Good feeling. Hopefully we'll see you on Sunday on our pregame show.
Thanks.
So
enjoy it.
All right, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Take care. All right, Ben Watson, our guest. Let's go back out to Bob Lobel. Bob?
All right, Steve. Interesting. Got a great demeanor, but the kind of guy that, because you have to deal with him, makes everybody else around him better, just by that fact alone.
It should make Daniel Graham better. It should make the whole receiving corps better. They even split him out a number of times. He's got that kind of speed. But remember, last year we were pretty high on him very early in the year too. So if he can stay healthy, he could be a special tight end in this league.
I'd like to ask Steve, you know, and I know in his earlier days he was a linebacker by trade, not a long snapper exclusively.
True.
And one of the big questions coming into tonight's game, obviously, would be, you know, life without the 2 inside linebackers. How do you think they fared?
Oh,
I think they fared okay.
Time out. Brady is trumping you.
Oh.
That's right.
You know,
one guy I'll pass to.
Stop the music.
The same feel as the opening games the last few years with you and Charlie and the whole different cast in many ways.
Did it feel the same? I wouldn't say it would feel the same. It's just very different. I think each year has been different for me. There was a lot of excitement coming into this game. We were preparing all summer long for this team, so I thought we got off to a good start in the first half, and I think the second half we just didn't do much in the third quarter. We didn't convert on third down offensively, and defense made some nice plays up there. That turnover, Vince, on that interception was probably the play of the game. But we'll take the win. We'll take the win.
You threw it at 8 different receivers, which is things you've done in the past.
Yeah.
But you have 2 tight ends that can catch the ball. Is that going to be a big thing down the road this season?
It sure will be. I think we'll continue to spread the ball around. I think the great part about our offense is that we can, and we have a bunch of guys that are capable of making plays. And then the 4 receivers who were out there tonight I thought did a great job getting open against a lot of man coverage. I thought the tight ends did a nice job. The running backs, Corey caught a few passes, Kevin caught some passes. And spreading the ball around puts a lot of pressure on the defense when you can find the open guy.
You talk about your 2 touchdown passes. Deion Branch didn't play it down in the preseason, and he looked like he hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah, he hasn't. Even for a lot of you guys who were out there in the preseason at the practices, I mean, you saw what he was really capable of. And Deion's doing a great job. I mean, he's really setting a standard for our receiving core, and he seems to get open off a lot. Yeah, he is. Those short little legs he's got. He's only 5'4". I mean, he's not a lot of legs in there. He gets him moving pretty fast.
Speaking about short, Tim Dwight.
Yeah, Tim made a nice play on the little out route down there on the goal line. Made a nice catch. I mean, he's just dangerous every time he gets the ball in his hand. It's like everyone holds their breath on every punt return because you never know when he's gonna break one. But he did a great job. It was his first game tonight. We put a lot of pressure on him to know a bunch of different receiving spots, and we mixed formations quite a bit, which I thought was to our advantage. I think the disappointing part was we didn't run the ball very well, and I'm sure. Like I said, we have a long way to go in a lot of areas, and running the ball certainly is going to be one because they had their small nickel group on the field, and we were still having problems running the ball with our big guys, and that's I think going to be a big point of emphasis for us.
There was a shot of you and Corey Dillon on the sideline. You saying something to Corey to get him inspired, and all of a sudden he woke up a little bit. What did you say to him?
I don't know. Probably a lot of swear words or something. I'm always trying to fire people up, and I think that in a way that fires me up, and we're all out there together. And Corey, he's a huge part of this offense, and it was great to see him. I mean, he made a great touchdown run from the 8 or 9 yard line on the play going toward the lighthouse, which was a big play. Anytime you can run it in the red zone too, it makes it a whole lot easier because the space is just so confined. They're dropping 7 guys back there. There's not a lot of holes, so you really got to account for Corey in there. And the plays that he did have a chance to make, I thought he ran great.
What was it like to have Josh in your ear when the bullets were flying? What was it like to have? Yeah.
It was like that in the preseason too, and Josh done a great job. I mean, he's our quarterback coach, and I'm so comfortable with him. I think he has a great understanding of what the defense is doing. He's got a great understanding of our offense and our strengths, and he's doing a great job in his role, and I have a lot of confidence in him and a ton of respect for his work ethic.
How much of it is a consensus thing where you may look at a play and say, okay, maybe I'll change out of that, or are you more cognizant of that your role in the play calling?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think each year as a quarterback, I've assumed more responsibility. I think that's continuing. I mean, that's the way it's going. I mean, we communicate all week, and there's not a time that the ball is snapped that I don't feel that we're in a great play, and I think that's the way it's going to continue to be. And I mean, we communicate all week that, hey, if this play's called and they give us this look, this is what we want to do. So, it's pretty predictable from the sideline. They know what I'm doing based on our conversations throughout the week. So, we always feel like we have a pretty good advantage, when we get out there because, I think everyone's always clued in. I mean, we all communicate very well. The offensive line communicates very well when we change plays. And, it's stuff that's important to our offense.
They didn't send very many extra people at you in the first half, and they changed it up a little in the second half and still weren't able to sack you. Yeah. Why was that?
I think the offensive line did a great job of keeping them out of there. We're getting rid of the ball, and the guys were getting open. I mean, it all kind of goes together. I mean, if you're holding the ball all night because the receivers aren't getting open, you're going to get sacked. And my receivers were getting open. The ball was coming out quick, and the line was doing a good job of keeping a very good pass rushing guys when they put Burgess in there and Tommy Kelly and Sapp and Jasper. I mean, those guys can really rush the passer. And it's good. Anytime you come out of the game, you don't turn the ball over, you don't get sacked. Not a lot of negative plays in a running game. You win the time of possession. Like I said, I wish we'd have been better on third down there in the second half. But, I mean, if we would have, I think we'd all be. I know our team would be feeling a lot better about what we did tonight. And I'm glad. We're not peaking here in week 1. I mean, this is a long season, as we all realize.
Tom, can you talk about that a little bit in terms of this being the first step in the process of getting to build where you want to build?
It is. I mean, you have a whole different team, and you have a new cast of players, and you come out each year, and you kind of see where you're at. And we've had like 50 practices, which seems like a lot of practices, but, by the end of the year, you have 120, 130 practices, and we played one real live game, which was tonight, and obviously there was a lot of mistakes, but we played better than the team we played against, and that's what's important. We got a huge challenge next week against, a team that a lot of people are picking to win the Super Bowl. So, we know that how tough it is to play in Carolina. We know how tough it is to play against Carolina, and all our focus this week is going to be based on playing a great team on the road.
Hey Tom, you have the weekend off. Charlie Weiss and Notre Dame playing at Michigan. Are you going to the game?
I'm not going. Got some other plans, but I'm sure I'll be watching Saturday. It should be pretty exciting.
How pleased are you that you don't have to face your own front four?
Pretty well. I faced them all training camp, and I know what that's all about. Especially Richard. I mean, Richard and Vince, Jarvis, Willie, Vrabel. I mean, those guys can really rush the passer. And Richard's so disruptive. I mean, he's disruptive every time we go against him in practice. And I think he's the best defensive. I mean, he is the best defensive lineman in the league, and I'm glad he's on our team. And he's a great leader. He's a great captain. He sets an example for all the other players. He's a great person on and off the field, and I think this organization's lucky to have him. So not only is he a great player, but like I said, it's so much more than that with him, and he brings so much more to the table. And that goes along with, a young guy like Vince, who's looking up to Richard and figuring out how to play defensive line in this league, and he's got a great example in Richard to look at. And then the other young guys, too. Like I said, Jarvis, is the one that knocked that ball to Kerry's hand, and Vince picked it off. That was fun to see. I think Vince kept that ball.
Comment on responding to the Albany drive.
Yeah, they went right down the field. It's a 60-minute game, and we had the ball. We made a few nice plays there on third down, got into the red zone and didn't put it in. We were disappointed there. Kicked the field goal down 7-3, and next time we got the ball, we went down and scored a touchdown, which put us up. But that happens. I mean, anytime. I always like getting the ball to start. It seems like a lot of times the team that gets off to a good start usually carries it on throughout the game, but we countered that, and I'm glad we got some points on the board for our defense, kept them off the field.
Tom, how good is this? But it seems strange not having Charlie on the sideline part of the year, looking over there for the first time.
I mean, it's been now a while without him, so I'm getting more used to it. I mean, like I said, and I've said this, I mean, he's a tremendous coach, and he was a great asset to this team for the time he was here, and now he's a great asset to another place. And we all miss him, and at the same time, we realize we can't look back. We got to look forward with the guys we got. And I thought, the guys who are in the roles, and the quarterback coach, the receiver coach, the offensive line coach, Coach Belichick, everyone's really involved. And that's the way you get it. A lot of great minds coming together to come up with an offensive scheme. And, we're going to see how it works in a 16-game schedule. I mean, one game, you never know what's going to – it doesn't tell you much. It just, like I said, I'm glad we got off to a good start and won the game. But there was a lot of bad playing tonight, and I think that's what the players are there to correct. We know how capable our coaches are, and the players just need to go out and play better.
Tom, there's last three games, go back to the AFC Championship, Super Bowl, and now this game where you and Dion have not only hooked up, but we're talking numbers that are starting to grow. Is he turning into a special player here before our eyes? Is this what we're gonna? Do you expect to see more of this?
Well, he was a special player since the day he got here, and he's got a great understanding of playing receiver, and he's like a point guard like a Jason Kidd type in basketball, where he just can see everything, and it's like you don't have to tell him much. He's a quarterback at that position. He understands defenses. He understands how to run routes and get open. And he's got a lot of great physical skills. I mean, he's strong, he's quick, he's fast, he's got great hands, he's got great vision. And the mental part of the game comes easy for him. So he's definitely established himself, and I think we just got to continue to improve. And we wasn't perfect out there, but I think there's stuff to build on.
Would it be nice to have, I know you're noted for spreading the ball around, would it be nice to have a 10-catch, 100-yard receiver every game?
Well, I always said the receiver that I like is the guy that's open. So whoever gets open, I like. And Deion seems to get open a lot. So he's the guy that usually gets the ball. But like I said, 8 guys caught balls tonight, and that's where it's going to continue to be if they get open.
Tom, is there a great sense of relief, though, having this first game, all the pomp and circumstance that surrounds it, and to have a win under your belt?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. It's a great show for the fans and stuff, but at the same time, we're really not there. You know, the players, it's more of a distraction than anything. We're trying to prepare for a game, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. But I think there was some good mental toughness by the team tonight, not paying attention to Ozzie Osbourne too much. Although he was in the cafeteria the other day, I think he got most of the guys running out that back door to check him out. But it's a fun night. You know, it's the opener. I think there was a lot of excitement. But you know, I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we won. I'm glad we're moving on.
Tom, Charlie had said earlier in the week that you guys have a bet on the game this weekend. If that Notre Dame wins, you're going to have to wear a Notre Dame hat at a press conference. What happens? Yeah, that's what Charlie said. What happens if Michigan wins?
I think he buys me a case of beer. I think that's the bet.
Thanks.
Somehow he got the better end of the deal. Thank you.
Okay, saw some video of one Super Bowl MVP throwing to another Super Bowl MVP, and that was what it was all about, Deion Branch. Anyway, Bob Newmeyer had started to ask Steve DiOssi a question, only to be rudely interrupted by Tom Brady. We'll have to come back and revisit that question. I don't remember it. I hope he does. And we're going to take a break when we come back. And you can vote for player of the game. You might have just seen him up at the podium. I don't know. We're not into, well, we are the usual lobbying.
Tough choice tonight,
Tough choice. Then log on to UPN38.com. Click on your player of the game. Tough. Yeah.
Some nominees. Huh?
Well,
throw some names out there.
I did.
Help them.
Tom Brady.
Branch.
Seymour.
Seymour.
Played well.
Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots Fifth Quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford dealers, home of the best-selling brand of cars and trucks in New England.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Patriots win this home opener 30-20, 21 straight at home, including 3 playoff appearances. We're with Steve DiOssi and Bob Newmeyer. Newmy had actually started asking DiOssi a question he was about to answer until Brady rudely interrupted him, but you remember the question.
Absolutely, and a darn good one it was, too,
right,
Bob.
well, that's why we're revisiting
because I remember covering this guy when he played linebacker for BC against Bo Jackson and Auburn in the Tangerine Bowl. Remember that?
I remember. I had 20 tackles, all 10 yards downfield.
So the guy knows linebacker play, and I think coming in, you know, we were concerned about, Patriot Nation, if you will, you know, Weiss going, Cornell going, that seemed to take care of itself. But with Bruschi not around, Brown and Beisel, and how do you think they fared in tonight's ballgame?
I thought they played okay. They were active. Beisel, you know, you're going to miss Teddy Bruschi no matter what. I don't care who you brought in to replace him. Teddy Bruschi was a big play guy and a definitive heart and soul of that defense, too. But I think the linebackers were very active. I think that Beisel reminds me of a young kid who's hyperactive and flying around all over the place, a couple times out of position. Chad Brown made a couple of plays here and there, but for the most part, I think the defensive front did a very good job. I thought Warren played well. Wilfork obviously played well. I thought Seymour made a lot of plays in there and held the line fairly well. The problem with some of the runs that they got, the 7-8-yard runs that Jordan was getting, and even the one Zach Crockett got the longer run, they got up to the second level, and the linebackers weren't there to make the play. The defensive front held their line, but I think the linebackers will step it up a little bit more. They didn't really do a whole lot in terms of going ahead and making sure that they secured the front with the defensive line. The defensive line was, I think, the star of the defense.
Well, you mentioned Seymour and how disruptive he was, and this is a little montage of Richard in action, and again from the interior position, pressuring as he did there, up the gut. With a little inside move there.
That was a great slap rip, and he got right in Collins' face, and that's been the reputation of Collins. If you get in his face and do some things like that, then you're gonna have an easy time against him. But they didn't get a lot of sacks, but they did get a lot of pressure, and they forced a couple of high throws and a couple of throwaways from Kerry Collins.
And the old guard had their moments. Vrabel had a sack and a nice
great play.
Tackle on Jordan in the flat on a dangerous play. McGinnis actually batted down a ball intended for Randy Moss.
Yep.
and really took a holding penalty. If you remember, he beat the guy, and I think it was Gallery, the big tackle from Oakland. Horse collar him. That was a big offensive holding penalty. That stymied another Oakland drive, along with Seymour. So your big-name guys on defense and Rodney Harrison in the back line, I thought, played a stout game for New England.
Stout is a good word because there weren't a lot of big plays in this defense. They were going against a team that liked to throw the ball deep, wanted to run Jordan. I'm surprised they didn't run Lamont Jordan more than they did. He was very successful in the first half. But again, that run defense is a team effort, and I think you got a very good effort from the front guys. You got I'd say a mediocre effort from the linebackers. Safeties came up, played the run fairly well, but overall, I think they wouldn't be very satisfied with this defensive effort.
I do want to talk about the defensive backfield, but we'll wait till the next segment. But I'm sure at some point in our lives we would have considered going to Fenway Park tonight to watch the world champion Red Sox, stay for that game, drive down here and see the second half of the world champion New England Patriots. It's never happened here, and we don't think it's happened anywhere else. We're two world champions that played home games.
You're too old for that. I'm too old for
That's what I said at one time.
If you're 19 or 20 or 21,
at one
and
time,
you got all that energy going for you, and you have a couple of brewskis at the baseball.
Would it have been a great take?
Right? It would have been a big doubleheader.
How many?
If I had Bob's money, I'd just get a helicopter and make it easy. That's all.
Or a limo.
It would have been a good deal. I mean, you know, one of those.
They don't have any baseball doubleheaders anymore.
No.
I used to go to baseball doubleheaders.
And the game was
get there
over.
at 11 for batting practice. Stay there for 2 games. You don't get that anymore.
No, but it would have been a moment. See 2 world championship teams defending in. But anyway, let's do the highlights, okay? I hope they're in the right order. This was like, talk about taking the energy and filling the station with energy and show. This show was beyond the pale. This was Super Bowl-esque and then some.
It would have been hard for the game to actually live up to what that pregame show was.
There's no question. And you know what? Nobody does it bigger and better than the National Football League. And then, here we go. Once the game got underway, the Raiders took it right down the field. Seymour jumping off sides, and Collins threw 29 yards to Randy Moss. And Collins with a play fake to Lamont Jordan. There you go. You think it was Beisel?
I thought it was Willie McGinnis, which I was surprised at him taking a chance like that without having the security on the backside.
So he says it was Beisel. He's sticking to that story.
I think it was McGinnis too.
I thought it was McGinnis too.
I watched the game on TV. We reviewed it 4 times, and it was McGinnis too.
He says Beisel
making the play.
Okay, they score. All right, that's all you need to know. 7-0. But then, first possession, Brady over the middle to Big Ben.
I'm not going to say elementary, my dear Watson. It's too old to
that is.
Right? 2 big third down plays.
Well, you look at some of Brady's throws, and that first catch by Watson, and here you just love seeing a tight end do this kind of stuff. But Brady was just a shade off on some of his passes today.
You can go gentle Ben, you can go Big Ben, or you can go elementary Watson.
Into the night sky.
This is a guy that did a nice job tonight, Tim Dwight, particularly on punt returns. This was an aspect of, it was a kickoff return, obviously, but I think it was anyway. But that was an aspect of the Patriots game that was weak last year.
And he had a nice one called back, a real nice punt return called back, too. And again, Tom Brady hitting any number of receivers, Deion Branch stepping up big. They had a lot of yards after the catch, I noticed today, with some of the routes they were running. So they had a game plan intact to attack that mid-range 10 to 18-yard passing area.
And of course, Troy Brown, when he's limited to playing 1 position instead of 3 during the game, he's still got a lot of gas left in the tank.
Here's the Branch touchdown. And oh, by the way, Brady barking at Dillon here had 132 yards passing at the 13-minute mark of the ball game. He was on pace for 520 at this point.
This is another play with this is just what Moss is so great at, getting the ball downfield when he's got coverage like that. That was actually pretty good coverage by Poole until the last 2 steps. He lost it and tried to jump. And Collins is going to get in trouble this year if he just thinks he can throw it up all the time to Moss. It's not going to work as effective as he thinks it is.
So the Raiders were up 14-10. The Pats come right back to David Givens, a forgotten man on the wide receiver corps.
Yeah, that was 26 yards. That was an under pattern. Watson going deeper and then Givens underneath.
And imagine that. Imagine the tight end being the guy that runs the defender off, and the running back, the receiver comes in.
And here's Daniel Graham. I mean, it's just they just keep coming at you.
Another game where Brady throws to 6, 7, or 8 receivers. There are so many guys that had receptions in this situation. Tim Dwight made a great catch down in the end zone. Great throw, actually, from Brady. They tried the play right before that to Givens. It didn't work, and it worked with Dwight that time.
You know, I think Tim Dwight could be a candidate for player of the game.
If that punt return hadn't got called back, you could easily put him up there.
This is where the Raiders thought they had a chance when they stuffed Dillon at 4th and 1, but this was the play, and that was that Jarvis screen pressure from the backside of Kerry Collins, who's been known to cough it up in his career, and Vince Wilfork was the beneficiary.
And you also saw Seymour there putting the pressure where Collins couldn't step up and allowing Jarvis Green to make that great play, too.
Of course, anytime you ever have an extra point blocked, you know, panic runs rampant through the stadium. Oh, that's going to come back to kill us.
Yeah, well, with this team here, you weren't too worried about the Patriots scoring points, so I was hoping at that point it wouldn't really matter.
Let me ask you this. As we watch these highlights, we go in there, what about clock management?
I love this play, though. I've been waiting all game for the screen. Yep. This was a beautifully executed screen to Dillon.
There was nobody.
Patriots were one of the great screen teams in the NFL last year. This was executed beautifully, and then Dillon's able to pound it off tackle, get that leverage going and that forward press that he's noted for. And look at the forward lean here, Steve.
And Kaufman makes a good block on the safety right off the bat, lets Dillon get into him, turns around and hits him.
Go ahead. Okay, we're coming back out.
This is Dillon punching it in, and Steve's got a special guest for us.
Big Vince.
Just talked about
Big Vince. You talked about him enough.
Where's the ball?
Yeah. Where's the ball?
In the locker room, they just grabbed me, but I get it. Don't worry.
Have you seen the play yet? Because we're going to cue it up again. We're going to cue it up for you. We're going to cue it up for posterity because that was the key play of the ballgame. Because at that time, game was up in the air. Here we go. Tell us about it.
See, right here, we ran a nice little game. And as you see, you know, Langston Walker, you know, the ball was right up above his shoulder pad. So, I mean, I had to go up to his shoulder pad and get the ball away from him. But he didn't know what we was doing.
That's a big hit there. And I didn't know you had those good hands.
Yeah, you know, I got a little background, you know, full back in me.
Oh, really?
A little full back in me.
Do you practice any ball skills at all?
Exactly. Every Friday we do it. Defensive line we do. Pepper Johnson make us do it. Fumbles, and then at the end of it we go, you know, defense, you know, Seymour against, you know, a receiver, some play like we DBs, and, you know, I'm always Deion Sanders, though. I'm always Deion Sanders. I played like him tonight, you know, so I'm always Deion Sanders. Prime time, you know.
Well, let me tell you something. When you caught the ball, you rolled like prime time.
I rolled the wrong way, though. I should have been rolling forward instead of, you know, sideways to the end zone.
So that's a Bill Belichick player right there. He's even thinking on how to roll.
Here's my question now. Will you lobby your coach that, you know how Vrabel lines up, you know, at the tight and short yardage by the end zone because he's got the good hands?
Oh, yeah.
And it's the element of surprise. Maybe we'll see Vince Wilfork lining up in offense, maybe work you in somewhere to use those good hands of yours.
Hopefully they look at this play and be like, look, this guy got some nice hands.
He's an athlete.
He's an athlete. He caught it off this guy's shoulder. I think we can use him on the offensive side.
That's right.
You know, maybe.
Right past Klecko on the depth chart.
You know, maybe they look at it like that, like I'm looking at it. But we'll see.
You went right past Klecko, and you're right in with Seymour in that backfield.
I hope so. I mean, hey, look at it. You know, they got to look at it.
So will you go to Belichick next week and say, Bill, put me in on offense?
No, I won't do it. No, Bill, get out of here. No way. Nah, I won't. I mean, but I'll give a lot of guys trash though in this week. Leading up to this next game, I lead the team in interceptions right now. I get a DBs a lot of crap, you know. So, but I mean, it was you know, winning the ball game. Number one, that was the biggest goal of the night coming in. Only game on TV, win this ball game, and you know, to cap it off with a interception. You know, first career interception.
Leading the league.
Gotta love it.
Not only on the team, leading the league.
Oh man, leading the league. I didn't even think about that.
I'm leading the league.
Hey, I'm leading the league. I'm gonna make sure. Hey, set me up for a big press conference.
All right, Vince. Well, you want to know? Congratulations. You got the weekend off. What are you gonna do over the weekend?
I mean,
he's gonna pray Deion Sanders doesn't get an interception. You know,
yeah, exactly. You know, so I can still lead the league. You know, I'm gonna toot my own horn until Sunday. So, but no, I mean, I think, you know, we're gonna get a jump. You know, I'll probably take, you know, one day off, but you know, to get a jump on Carolina because, you know, they're favored to win the Super Bowl, and you know, they're a pretty tough football team. So we have to get a jump on those guys.
Do you actually believe they're favored to win?
You know, I can only go by, you know, what they're saying. So
the experts, right?
Exactly. So, you know, but you know, nobody played a game but the Carolina Panthers.
I just want to shake. Let's see. Those are soft hands. Those will catch anything.
Don't get him. Don't be fooled now. Don't be fooled.
No, all right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Hey,
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
League leader.
Leading the league.
We don't get many league leaders on this show, do we?
Man.
We're bowing out, Bob.
We'll take a break right now. Thanks. We'll be right back.
Again, the ball is loose, and the Patriots come up with it at the 21-yard line. It's Vince Wilfork.
Watch him here. They do a twist. Here comes Jarvis Green. He comes from behind the outside. Collins doesn't see him or feel him.
Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots Fifth Quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford Dealers, home of the best-selling brand of cars and trucks in New England.
Okay, here we go. Player of the game. I mean, you can make your argument too. Good thing Vince left, because I think he would have been crushed.
The votes had already been counted before his appearance. I think that 12% would have been boosted to maybe 53 following that.
I would have switched my vote.
Lobbying effort. Leading the league in interceptions, enough said.
Well,
Charles
Brady.
Woodson, no.
No, Charles Woodson.
Ty Law, no. Deion Sanders, no. Vince Wilfork, yes.
Brady over 300 yards. He was through 38 times, completed, I don't know, 35.
And a variety of receivers as well. I think he threw to 6 different guys. Pretty typical Brady in the first half. He used Givens, he used Branch, he used both tight ends, Watson and Graham. Not as precise, and again, we're nitpicking, because the guy threw for over 300 yards. Well, but again, I used the Bird reference, Bob. You saw Larry play, and you didn't think he was that great a factor, but you looked on the score sheet, and he had 29 points. You say, wow, what a quiet 29. And maybe Brady, you could say, had a quiet 300 yards tonight, but only here, shouldn't say only, but his 9th career 300-yard game, and I think he's now 49-14 as a starter, if you're counting. 49 wins and 14 losses as a starter for the New England Patriots.
Not
That's
too shabby.
Not a bad record.
Not a bad record at all. And 21 straight here at home, including playoffs. And we did talk about their not such a balanced offense with him throwing the ball 38 times and their inability to basically run the football. But apart from that, I think what some of the fans that I were sitting around and talked to, they were a little concerned about clock management, about why they seem to be throwing the ball so frequently when they had...
You're talking about late in the ball game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that last drive was, they went back and shotgun a couple of times, too, in that spread formation, when it looked like they were just going to pound out the rest of the clock. There was also, I think, late in the first half, too, there was a situation where the Raiders were pinned on their own 10, and they didn't take a timeout right away. That surprised some people as well. But I think, it's kind of nitpicking, really, at this point.
Work in progress?
I think Belichick has some things to talk about. I think he has the blocked extra point. I think he has the blocked punt. Those are 2 special teams plays.
2 penalties.
Penalties that are un-Patriot-like. So there's some work to be done. The Carolina Panthers, who are the next opponent, are worthy adversaries. This is a team that a lot of people are touting. I'm not so sure why, by the way, but a lot of these experts are touting the Carolina Panthers as the NFC representatives to the Super Bowl.
As you always talk to me about horse racing, it's the bounce factor.
Well, I don't know what it is, but they've got them penciled in, and they've got to prove it to a lot of people. But again, on the road, and they've got a nice defense. That'll be a good ball game a week from Sunday.
Okay, well, it's great to have you back. It's great to start the season once again, and start it with a win for the Patriots, 30-20. New England Patriots game day, 11:30 Sunday morning on CBS 4. So the regular crew will be there, hosted by Steve Burton. Sports Final Sunday night. Vince Wilfork leading the league at this moment, and we can take that to the bank and enjoy his position over the weekend. For Bob Newmeyer and the whole crew, Steve Burton, Michael Felger, Steve Diassi, and Scott Zolak, and everybody back at the studio and our crew here, it was quite an opening night, especially since you had 2 World Championship teams, defending World Championship teams, playing in town. Alice Cook, have I forgotten anybody? Thank you. Ozzy Osbourne. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you for watching New England Ford Patriots Fifth Quarter.
day.